Hey folks, welcome back to another Throat Punch Lunch. Want to thank you so much for joining us back here once again for another episode. We certainly hope that you are enjoying the content that we're providing for you. I have a great episode set up for you. And now I'm a little bit biased, you understand that, but I do watch every single segment before I put it into the show. So I'm on the end here, you know what I mean? So I hope that you will like everything that comes here in the next few moments, but without further ado and any more blathering on by yours truly, let's get to it.
Hi, this is Ambie from Boardgame Blitz, and today I'm going to try out a new segment where I pick a mechanism and then talk about games that use that mechanism in a cool thematic way. This time, I'm talking about Roll and Move. Roll and Move is an infamous mechanism where you roll dice and whatever you roll dictates how you move on a board. There are plenty of games that use Roll and Move in a non-fun way, but it's not always terrible and can actually enhance the theme of a game. I've found that Roll and Move actually works really well in a lot of racing games, like Formula D, Camel Up, and Winner's Circle. Formula D is a Formula 1 racing game where players are racing cars to get to the finish line first. But instead of rolling just one normal die to determine how much you move, there are different sized custom dice to represent the different gears that your car is in. For example, Gear 1 is a 4-sided die with values from 1 to 2, and Gear 6 is a 30-sided die with values from 21 to 30. You want to get to a higher gear to go further, but you can also damage your car from going too fast around turns, so you'll need to downshift just like in real racing. Camel Up is a betting game where players bet on the winners of a camel race. During the race, you can be betting on camels to win or lose, but the dice rolls make it unpredictable which camel will come out ahead. In each round, you'll roll dice one at a time using a fancy pyramid-shaped dice roller. What keeps the race exciting is the fact that each die corresponds with one camel in the race, and they each get rolled once before you put them all back in the pyramid. This ensures that each camel will be running some each round, and that simulates a real-time race. Winner's Circle is an older horse racing betting game that also ensures each horse runs each round. But in this game, instead of a numeric die, the die has symbols on it that represent the different characteristics of the horses. Each horse is different, so one face of a die could be 12 movement for one horse, but only 2 for another. The active player gets to choose which horse to move after rolling, so you can get to choose between helping a horse you bet on have a really good run, or having another horse fail miserably that round. So even though Roll and Move is generally frowned upon, it can help make some exciting games, especially when they involve racing. Comment below with other ways Roll and Move is used thematically. Thanks for watching Boardgame Blitz. What mechanism should I discuss next? And help me think of a good name for this segment.
Hey everybody, it's Jay, and it's time to talk about your flair. On 15 Pieces of Flair, I'm going to show you guys some ways to spruce up that game room. I've been wanting to make some superhero flair for quite some time now, and on my giveaway that I'm doing, Chaz Brown's favorite superhero is Wonder Woman. And what I made for him can actually be applied to any different superhero, but this one's specifically Wonder Woman, but you can change it to whatever superhero you like, and I'll actually show you an example of another one later in the video. But today, I made him some Wonder Woman flair, and let's check it out. For this project, we're going to use a comic book, scissors, a picture frame purchased at Goodwill, Mod Podge and foam brush, a Wonder Woman stencil, paper and masking tape, and gold spray paint. First, you're going to take the comic book and remove the cover. You're going to then flip through the pages and find the most dynamic images you want and cut them out. Don't get too hasty though. Make sure what's on the opposite side of the page isn't better than what you're cutting out. Once you have all your images cut out roughly, line them up, then measure them. From there, you can get a frame or canvas that fits your pieces. You want to get a frame that's quite a bit smaller than your rough layout because you will further trim your images and squeeze them together. In this case, my rough layout was about 13 inches by 17 inches. I got an 11 inch by 14 inch overall size frame, and it almost all fit perfectly. I used the cardboard backing from the picture frame as my canvas and threw away the picture and anything else that was inside the frame. At this point in my video, I completely messed up. So for this next shot, you'll have to excuse my video. The next part will not be an exact finished product, but it will just be a representation of the process I used. To create the collage, you will take your Mod Podge and brush. You will apply some Mod Podge to the canvas in an area larger than the piece you will be adding. Then, you'll put the piece onto the wet Mod Podge and run your finger over the comic piece to flatten it out. Then, apply some more Mod Podge over that, being sure to seal off all of the edges. Repeat this process until the entire canvas is covered. Don't be afraid to use plenty of Mod Podge. It will dry clear and won't affect the finished product. Let that dry completely and go ahead and remove the glass from the frame. In a well-ventilated area, go ahead and spray paint the entire frame gold. Now, before I spray paint the Wonder Woman logo onto this, you could finish it a couple different ways. You could get a fathead or other vinyl sticker to put on it. You could also have a professional, or you if you're that talented, hand paint the hero on for you like my buddy Thomas from Custom Tags did on this Spider-Man piece. Or you can do it like I did this one and stencil paint the logo on there. So I applied the stencil and some paper for masking. Then I sprayed the gold onto the stencil. Then I removed the stencil and masking and allowed it to dry completely. Once totally dry, I cleaned and replaced the glass into the frame. Then I added the canvas to the frame and closed it all up. Boom! There you have it. A quick and easy way to add some flair to your game room. I really love this. I love how versatile it is and how many different superheroes you can do with the comic and everything like that. And there's a few different ways you can finish it instead of just putting their logo on top, like with the fat head, or having somebody custom paint the superhero on there. Those are all great ways to do that. Hey, if you guys have any suggestions on games or ideas you'd like me to make into some flair, leave them in the comments below. I read them every time. Or you can go to my Facebook page, pique your interest. But don't forget, 15 pieces of flair is the bare minimum. Some people choose to do more, and we encourage that. Have fun, everybody.
Hey gamers, this is Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire, and I'm here to bring you another episode of SoloThrash, Amerithrash gaming for those of us who like to play alone. Today I want to talk to you about a new development in the world of storytelling games, which is Legacy of Dragonholt from Fantasy Flight Games. If you ever wanted to know more about the world of Terranoth, which is the setting for games like Descent and Runebound, then Legacy of Dragonholt can fill in some of that world for you. One of the things that makes Legacy of Dragonholt interesting, however, is that it's not the sort of game where you move pieces around or do actually even any more than make story choices. At the beginning of the game, you create a character, you get a story tracking sheet so you can keep track of elements of the story that you've discovered, and you work through quest books. So basically you read encounters from this book, you get to make choices at the end of each scenario, and those choices ultimately lead you through a complete story. There's no die rolling, there's no combat except you pick it as a story option and then read what happens. It's very, very much a choose-your-own-adventure game with some spice. So you get things like letters. There are, item cards to represent items that you get during the game. But overall, it's very much a reading-heavy experience. So this is something that I like as someone who enjoys things like visual novels. But if you're not that sort of gamer, Legacy of Dragonholt isn't for you. That said, I really like Legacy of Dragonholt. The writing is pretty good, and it's been a really rewarding experience, both solo and in a 2-player co-op game with my boyfriend. If you play through the story once, there is limited replayability because you'll already know some of the main story beats, but there are definitely enough branching pathways to make it fresh a couple of times through, and because this is a Fantasy Flight game, I have faith that there's going to be more Legacy of Dragonhold content. Also, if you like storytelling games, Legacy of Dragonhold is just the newest and fanciest iteration in a world of storytelling games that are sometimes a little bit cheaper. I mean, if you don't mind buying a book, you can play a solo storytelling game like Fabled Lands, which requires 2 dice, a pencil, and a book. And there are more books in the series if you work through this one. Other options, of course, are if you are willing to have a little bit less coherence in your story, you can go for Tales of the Arabian Nights, which we've talked about before on SoloThrash. Or if you want more game, but within a storyline, you can try something like This War of Mine, which is a very intense and depressing story, but it's a game that generates a narrative while also requiring you to make choices, like what will I scavenge for, or will I take this survivor in? So if you want a story game that's a little bit more gamey, This War of Mine may be for you. Also, if you like to play games on your iPhone, they've actually made an app called Sorcery that is basically some fighting fantasy-based books as an app. So there are options to play storytelling games out there for pretty much everyone. And while I think that some people don't necessarily favor storytelling games because they feel like, oh, well, if I'm going to play a game, I want there to be an overwhelming strategy. I want to get into combat. I want to do, basically more stuff on a board activities. I actually really like storytelling games, and I think that there's a place for them in gaming. For me, they're very relaxing experiences. Sometimes I don't want to have a brain-burning experience. I just want to enjoy a story and go on an adventure. And something that Legacy of Dragonhold does for me is it gives me a light RPG experience without me having to commit to a campaign, find or be a GM, or, even do that much paperwork. It's a very chilled out game. And I think that that's something to appreciate and respect. And there's definitely a place for that in my gaming life. I hope there's for you too. Happy gaming.
Hey folks, welcome back to another Accessorize segment here on Throat Punch Lunch. Well, we finally got our palette of games. It wasn't really a full palette. We were sharing a palette with somebody else. But we finally got the other, I think it was 11, 12, or 13 boxes that Essen, from our trip to Essen and all the stuff that we had to bring back from that. And in that was some accessories that caught my eye as I was walking through one of the exhibition halls there. And they are this company right here. Hector, I think is how you pronounce it. It's spelled Feldher, but I looked up the pronunciation of it and I think it's Hector or something very close to that. Anyway, they do foam inserts for games, custom inserts. Now, these kinds of inserts you'll see in just a few moments. I've only seen them for like tabletop miniatures games like Warhammer 40K and fantasy and all that kind of stuff where you have a whole bunch of miniatures and you need to carry them around. I've not seen these kinds of inserts for tabletop games. So immediately caught my eye, and they are on Amazon, so you can go there. They have their own website. You can purchase them as there as well. So go check them out. They are www.feldherr.com. I'm just going to show it to you like that. And that's where they are. But here is what they look like. So basically they come in these little packages. Like this is one for Star Wars Rebellion. And they are these foam things that have a lid, like so. And then there is a place for every single one of those minis that come in the game. And then all the other different things as well. So I'm just showing you the product right now. I'm going to, on another episode, I'm going to go through each of these and kind of show them off in a lot more detail. But this one, I'm just trying to introduce them to you so you can go check them out on your own. And then when we come back later on, I'll show it to you. But here's Star Wars Rebellion, so I'm going to be doing that. This is the base game, and I believe this is the expansion. And then, like, we also have, this one is, I picked this one up, Blood Bowl. So you has everything in there that you can put all of that stuff there, so that's cool. And then this one blew my mind because I've actually been thinking about this one a lot lately because there's so much that comes in it. But here is the one for Conan, or Conan, however you want to pronounce it. Okay, we have one for Conan. That's fine, but look at this. It also says Kickstarter stretch goals, exclusive add-ons, Kickstarter stretch goals, regular base game. So I believe in this little thing right here, which means it's probably going to fit in one box. This will hold everything for Conan. That's what I'm looking for. Now I want to see if they can come out with one for a Star Wars Imperial Assault. Get all that stuff in one box. It's not going to happen. But the challenge is laid. The gauntlet has been thrown. But anyway, that is Hector, a company for making storage solutions for tabletop games. I am going to be showing more of these in detail later on, but I just wanted to get it out there to you because I've been waiting for these for like months. And now I finally have them. I'm going to hit the ground running on them when we get done with that marathon that's coming up tomorrow, basically. So, hey, we'll see you guys later on. Let's get back to your lunch.
Hey everyone, this is Tim Jeanette the Metal Meeple, and this is the Budget Board Game Breakdown. So on the Budget Board Game Breakdown, which I've renamed since it used to be the Budget Card Game Breakdown, but I want to go over some board games as well. And I loved a game on a budget. I like small little games. I like games that are on clearance, things like that, or games where you don't have to spend any money at all. And this is one of those games. This game is called Coinage. And this is a very tiny little game in which you would use actual money on one little piece of printed map, so to speak. So let me show you the components. If you purchase the actual version, which they do have some available on Board Game Geek's store, you're going to get 2 double-sided maps, such as this one, and this one, and also the main map printed on some credit card material that you can keep in your wallet. Now, normally you would have this, and you would have all these, or it also comes with the chits, sorry. These are double-sided, silver and gold. Otherwise, you can use money, which I'll talk about in just a second. The rules of the game are pretty simple. You're trying to area control this map with as much of your color as possible. One person's going to be silver, one person will be gold, or if you're using real money, heads and tails. You're going to get 1 of the 4s, 2 of the 3s, 3 of the 2s, and 4 of the 1s, which is essentially 1 quarter, 2 nickels, 3 pennies, and 4 dimes. At the start of a player's turn, you're simply going to choose 1 coin of the available ones that you have left. You're going to shuffle them in your hand and slam them on the ground. And this is going to generate what type of actions you can do on your turn. If you look at the booklet, it's going to show you a little grid showing with the results. In this case, if you had, depending on your color, so let's say it was all 4 of my color, then it'll allow you to place 2, and you can pay 1 to place 3. Placing just means to take 1 of yours and place it in one of the zones that are empty, or if there's other coins out there, you can place it on top of it in a stack, but it has to be a lower rank. So you can see this 3, I can place a 2 here on top of it. Or more likely, if I wanted to place on top of this 4, I'd place this 3. The last thing is you can pay 1, if you had all these back, you can pay 1 to place the other 3, if you would so wish to. If you only have 3 of the 4, then you get to place 2. You still get to place 2 with 2 and 2. Lastly, if you just have 1 of your color on your roll, then you get to place 1 and move 1. So in this case, I can place 1, or if there was a stack that was out there, such as this, and I wanted a better position, I can move a stack to an adjacent zone, regardless of what the top color coin is. And lastly, if you roll nothing of your color, then you get to do what's called a capture and a move. You get to move just like I showed you, and you also get to capture the top coin of a stack. So say, even if it was just one coin, I could take this coin and put it in my bank. Or if it was a stack, such as this, more likely such as this, I could take the top coin of this stack and place this in my bank. Anyway, play is going to continue until all the spaces are full or one player is out of coins. And at that point, I'm just kind of randomizing this. Then you're going to get a score based on the different things here. So whatever your rank is per coin, you're going to get that many points. Let me see if I can zoom in just a hair more. All right, so gold would get 2 points, 2 points, 3 points, 3 points, etc. But if you control the majority of an area, such as this green area, there's 3 spots to this green area. There's this one, and this one. Gold has majority. They're going to get double points for their coins. And then, you know, that's it. You just count up how many points you have, and then all the different coins that you have left, that you have left in the side, those points are going to be 1 point apiece. Now, what's really cool about this game is the fact that you can, you know, if you don't want to purchase it, which I highly recommend if you're interested in it, again, it's on the Board Game Geek store. I believe it's $3 or $5. You can just bring up the phone, the picture on your phone or tablet, and just use a handful of change to actually play the game. And honestly, the game is pretty fun. I have a lot of fun playing this. I played it, man, dozens of times when I first got it. I did a print and play, and then I got the Kickstarter and everything. And I played it dozens of times, and it's very enjoyable. So I love small games like this. Tasty Minstrel has other games similar to this as far as like the, you know, come in a bag basically as far as components, very small and compact. So if you have any suggestions on games like this or small little games, comment below. Otherwise, if you have any questions, please email me at timjeanette@gmail.com. Follow me on social media and check out my podcast, Meeplecore. And until next time, keep on rocking and rolling dice.
Hey, welcome to Throw Punch Lunch. My name is Bobby, and this is We'll Learn As We Go, where I'm going to talk about a game and how I would teach that particular game. This week, I'm not going to delve into too much detail and talk about how I would teach a particular game, but I do want to share some thoughts on how I would play a game that's been around actually for a couple of years, but the companion app for it has just come out. By the way, before we delve too much into it, Happy New Year. I hope you guys haven't strayed too far from your resolutions that you've made. I know I'm still keeping up with mine, but it's only the first week of January, so let's see how that goes, right? But Happy New Year. Hope this year promised to be a good year for all of you guys, and hope 2017 wasn't too rough on you. 2017 was a good year to be a geek. A lot of great movies have come out for geek culture in general, and one of those being... well, this is a pretty divisive movie, but I really liked it. The Last Jedi, Star Wars The Last Jedi. I really enjoyed Star Wars The Last Jedi, and watching it only got me more excited for a game that I've had actually for a little while, and that's Star Wars Imperial Assault. So if you don't know, Star Wars Imperial Assault is a dungeon crawl game set in the set in the Star Wars universe, based on the Descent system, the system used in Descent 2.0, and for fans of the Descent game, you might know that a little while ago there was an app released for Descent to make that one versus all dungeon crawl a cooperative experience. Well, late last year, late in 2017, Fantasy Flight had just released the app to make Imperial Assault a cooperative experience, which is insanely exciting. And I've been waiting for that app for quite a while, and I know quite a few people had, because anytime you go on threads related to Imperial Assault, there was always a bunch of threads, people typing in all caps with a bunch of exclamation points and question marks, when is the app coming out? Well, it finally came out, and I wanted to share my thoughts about it. Before you start the tutorial mission, the app directs you to an online rulebook made specifically for the app. The app is called Legends of the Alliance. So you get into an Legends of an Alliance rulebook where it teaches you how to set up for the tutorial mission. So you set up the map, and then the app asks you if you've ever played before. If you click yes, the app dives right into the tutorial mission without really explaining what the game is about, obviously. And how does it fare? It fares, I mean, pretty fine. I mean, there's not a whole lot of departure from the game itself, when you're playing it with the app, basically you just have to manipulate a couple of the enemy, a couple of the dark side forces, a couple of the Imperial forces, I mean. And other than that, the experience isn't too much different, but it is cool that there is a solo version of the app. That's not really the crux, excuse me, I'm sorry. That's not really the crux of what I wanted to talk about, though. The crux of what I wanted to talk about was, what if you've never played Imperial Assault before? How do you go into the app? Well, the app does pretty well at teaching you the game. The tutorial mission walks you through how to play the game and how to perform the different actions and how game turn flow goes. One critique that I might have about it, and this is also coming from my friend who had never played Imperial Assault before. I sat him down and forced him to play the game with me with the app. And he let me know what he thought. And he told me, or he agreed with my analysis, that the app seems to assume, whether you've played the game before or not, that you know how to play a dungeon crawl. It doesn't really delve into the basics of how to play a dungeon crawl. And being that, it also doesn't delve into the particular aspects of also what makes the descent system special. With the surges and things like that, I think it assumes that you have the core set rulebook in front of you. So if you would like to play Legends of the Alliance app, if you'd like to play Imperial Assault with that companion app, and you're playing with a friend that has never played Imperial Assault before, my one piece of advice is go over how to play a dungeon crawl, go over the basic aspects of what a dungeon crawl is and how the actions work and things like that, just in general, and then run through maybe a combat or two, or at least an action or two, just so that the player who has never played before can understand the system that they are working with. And after that, the app pretty much does the legwork from there and teaches. He or she should probably be fine from that point on, because the app kind of takes it from there and teaches them everything they need to know to play the game with you. So go ahead, take somebody to watch Star Wars Last Jedi in the theater, or whatever Star Wars movie is out at this point that you watch the video, because Star Wars is going to be putting a movie in theaters probably until the world ends, right? So go and watch whatever Star Wars movie is in the theater, and then come home and pull out Star Wars Imperial Assault and turn on Legends of the Alliance. Just make sure, if they've never played the game before, to teach them the basics of a dungeon crawl. But after you do that, the app pretty much does the work for you, and does the work pretty well, and makes a pretty good cooperative experience with it. Don't misunderstand my critique. Obviously, I really like the app because I keep going back to it and I keep playing the game with the app. So, app's really cool. Game is awesome. Always has been awesome. But those are my thoughts in, if you want to teach somebody how to play Imperial Assault and you want to let the app do most of the work for you, teach them the basics of a dungeon crawl and then just delve into it. Anyway, thanks for watching. This has been We'll Learn As We Go on Throw Punch Lunch. I'll see you next time. My name is Bobby. Bye.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Cardboard Herald's Rook and Record here on frickin' Throw Punch Lunch. And on this show, we give you the perfect soundtrack to listen to while playing your favorite games. And today, I'm on Brotherhood Trail here in Juneau, Alaska, and this seems like the perfect environment for us to hide from some Nazgul in. Wouldn't you agree? Which is fitting, because today we're talking about Hunt for the Ring, the brand new hidden movement prequel to War of the Ring, one of the most iconic Lord of the Rings games of all time. So what is the perfect soundtrack to listen to here? And I have to consider a few things. First off, this is a incredibly tense nail biter of a game. So you need something that has that tension reflected in it. And then at the same time, you have to appreciate the reverence that is in this thing for Tolkien's work. It cares about the lore and the details. And then, of course, you need something that has some swagger to it, because it is a little bit of playful. It's a cat and mouse game. It's a head-to-head duel of wits, because I think it's played best as a two-player game. So you could go with the classics, and I am a bit of a purist, and you could just boot up the Howard Shore soundtracks to Peter Jackson's movies, which wouldn't be wrong because those are masterpieces in their own right. But this is Rook and Record, not Rook and Phone App where we're streaming some music. So we're going way, way back to the OGs of Tolkien-influenced music and talking about Led Zeppelin 4. This is a masterpiece, if you want to start throwing that word around, which I apparently already am. This thing is iconic for a lot of reasons. I mean, yeah, it's got some of Led Zeppelin's biggest songs on it. You got Stairway to Heaven, you got Black Dog, but more than that, it's the culmination of their two sides, the duality of this group. You have the blues rock swagger from the early stuff, and then really emphasizing on some of the kind of folksy spiritual mysticism that they get into as they progress as a band. And so I was talking earlier about how you needed some swagger. This starts off with Black Dog, a freaking banger on it where you are entering the arena for this duel of wits. And then it carries on into songs like Battle of Evermore, which even references the ring race in that song, the ring race Ride in Black. And then you go into things like Stairway to Heaven, and ultimately you have this incredibly tense climax with When the Levee Breaks, which is one of the most tense songs that I've ever heard. It is apprehensive in all the best sorts of ways where you don't know exactly what's going to happen, but you know something is going to give, which reflects how the second act feels, especially toward the very end in Hunt for the Ring. And that is why my pick for the perfect soundtrack to listen to while playing Hunt for the Ring is Led Zeppelin 4 from 1971. So thank you so much for watching Throat Punch Lunch and the Cardboard Herald's Rook and Record. On our channel, you can find all sorts of other reviews, recommendations, and of course more Rook and Records. And we even have a review of Hunt for the Ring itself if you're interested in that game. So what did you think of our pick? What is your perfect soundtrack to listen to while playing this game, and what game do you want Rook and Recordify next? Because remember, the more that we do of these, the less bad music you are going to have to suffer at the table. Thanks again for watching. I've been Jack for the Cardboard Herald.
This is Roy Cannaday from Epic Gaming Night, and this is Why It's There, where I talk about a game in my collection and why I keep it on my shelf. So this week I'm talking about a card game that's cooperative, that's also deck building, that I really love and enjoy. This is a game that's definitely one of the most played games in my collection, and that is Marvel Legendary. I love this game because it's superheroes for one. I'm a huge Marvel fanboy. I love all the X-Men and the Marvel movies and the comic books and everything like that. I grew up on the X-Men cartoons growing up, and all of my friends were into the different X-Men characters and comic books, and I've been longing and looking for a game that had that superhero feel. And even though this is very abstracted, where you're playing out cards and doing the little combos and you're really playing a combination of heroes working together to try to do stuff, I love the cooperative aspect of this game. I've been able to play this game a ton with my wife. This is one of her favorite games to play, and we haven't played it super recently, but I definitely have enjoyed the plays through that I've got with her, and we've played with all sorts of friends from all different walks of life, people who don't normally play board games. I've gotten them into playing Legendary and just working together as a team. There's something about cooperative games where when you get to work together to build your team of superheroes to face the different mastermind, you can kind of scale the difficulty too. So if like you're playing with new players, it'd be like, okay, this time we're gonna play with a newer mastermind. Or if you're with your game group and your friends that have played Marvel Legendary over and over again, it's like, okay, it's time to take on Galactus or take on Thanos. We're probably gonna lose, but we can try to take this character out. I've got so many expansions for this game. They've made so much, so there's basically no Marvel character that's untouched. I'm sure there's tons still out there in the edges of the mythos of Marvel, but there's so many great characters in this game. So I got the X-Men box recently, and I don't even have all the expansions for this game. I don't have the Noir one yet, and the Spider-Man one that just came out. So I love playing Marvel Legendary. I love the combos you can build up. It's really fun to like kind of race your friends to see, oh man, who's gonna take out the mastermind first. I always play this game completely cooperatively though. It's more like that Legolas and Gimli sort of thing. Like, we're working together to take out the enemy, but at the end of the game it's like, oh man, I killed more orcs than you did, or hey, I took out the master more times than you did. So that's kind of the way we play the game, and think it's like, okay, so somebody did do better than the rest of us because they had cooler combos and they got their deck to do better things, but we still all won as a group, and we don't do things to try to mess each other up as we go along. Marvel Legendary is a great game if you're looking for that Marvel feel in the different characters that you can play and all the different cool little combos on comboing off in your deck building game. So Marvel Legendary is definitely a game I'm going to keep on my shelf. I will probably still make sure to get every expansion that comes out for this game because I love it that much, and it's just a blast to play. So Marvel Legendary is staying on my shelf.
Hi, we're Boardgame Opinions. My name's Steve Rain.
I'm Jonathan Hicks.
And I'm Mark Windle.
And this week in our flavour of the month, we are talking about Gaia Project, which has been played almost religiously by quite a few people since it's brought back from Essen. Now, Gaia Project, if you're not familiar with it, is a re-themed, re-implemented Terra Mystica. It's like Terra Mystica 1.5. So if you're familiar with Terra Mystica, a lot of what we're going to talk about now is going to make a bit of sense to you. So basically, Gaia Project's set out in space, and the difference is you do get this like modular board. You've got the different planets that people can live on. So in this case, we've got the Terrans, they can live on the Earth side of planets, and then to terraform the other planets into Earth, you do something very similar to what you did in Terra Mystica. You kind of like dig a lot of terraforming action. But the difference is you don't permanently change that planet. So for example, if you spend enough resources to terraform and dig that, you just put your new building on it, and you've not actually changed the base planet, you've just spent the resources to do so. So you can't partially change things, so it's less in that respect like aggressive towards other people by taking things away from them.
One of the really nice things I liked about Terra Mystica is as you get more of these buildings out on the board and you kind of expand your empire, you're getting income from the board. This player board, everything with a little symbol that has a hand underneath it says you're going to get this at the start of every round, and that's great. The more stuff you get out, the more income you get, and you feel like you're really building an empire, which is very satisfying. But each of the races are incredibly different. A lot of the different buildings will give you different abilities potentially. The stronghold gives every race a completely different ability. There might be a special starting ability here, so they feel so different to play. One of the reasons I think it's getting played so much is because people want to try all the different races because they feel so different when you play the game. But one of the key special abilities is it might give you some kind of advance on the tech track,
which is this board, which is essentially the re-implementation of the old cut track, sort of, and the two tech tracks that used to be on that board.
Yep.
Essentially, these are the different powers within you that you get to improve, like making yourself easier to terraform planets, giving yourself things called terraformers, which is obviously the Gaia, or the Gaia project that the whole thing's named after, that allows you to change these purple planets into actually livable planets. And while the old cool track was used to, I'm just moving up on this track because it's a race to get to the top, or at least be higher than other people, these are actually not only improving what you do, where they're giving more resources, etc., but also giving you points at the end of the game. And this is my favourite bit that they've added. I think this is by far the strongest thing they've done to the game.
I think it's the biggest change they've made as well. That cult track just found incidental. I've got a spare priest, so I'll move up on the cult track. It might not and give me anything, but it might let me get some end game points. But the cult tracks, although they had different names, didn't have any different feel to them. This does. Your races will want to go up on certain tracks more than others. There are certain tracks here that kind of like essential for your race to be able to do what it wants to do. Other than in Terra Mystica, this has been by far the biggest improvement for me.
One of the really nice things about it is it feels like it integrates the various mechanisms from Terra Mystica more. So for instance, when you build some of these buildings on the map here, you get certain bonus tiles, and previously it just gives you a bonus tile. That's nice. It might give you a bit of extra income, for example, at the start of every round. But in this one, each of those bonus tiles are linked to certain tech tracks. So it's like, if I get this bonus tile, I go up on that tech track. But I really want to go up on this other tech track. Maybe just take this other bonus tile. And they're in different positions each time you play. It's a random setup. So each time you've got to think, oh, this is so different from my previous game. How am I going to best use the tech track this time?
There's also enough for one for each player. So in Terra Mystica, when you start getting good at it, there was one tech tile or cult track that was better to get than any other one.
Yeah.
And once 3 races got it, the 4th didn't get it. So the fact they fixed that problem, there's 4 of every tile, which is quite nice.
I just think the whole variability is improved. I think the race is more varied. You've now got a modular board. You set up different bonuses on this. The whole thing's just been thought about, re-implemented, and made a better, more complete package, I think.
I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah. And so that's been our flavour of the month. It's been Gaia Project. We look forward to playing it lots and lots more.
And we will be.
Print and Play 3D. My name's Koray, and this is the only show on the internet where we're going to be combining 3D printing technology and board gaming into one wonderful world. So I have something really cool to show you guys. I found an insert on Thingiverse.com for this game, Doom. This game is fantastic, and for some reason there's no board game inserts on like Broken Token or Game Trays, you know, etc., etc. But Kit Ravidson, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, he made an insert for most of the game's components. So he made ones for cards and tokens and dice. There's a front and back to this, so let's get to the table and I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, let's take a look at what's in the box. So, this is my custom foam core. Don't be worried about these frayed edges. This is just a prototype and I use scissors. I know I'm supposed to use X-Acto knives, but I didn't have time and I really wanted something quick, so I used scissors. Alright, so then I sectioned it off some of the minis, but we're going to be taking a look at this, so let's take it out. So the insert couldn't fit the doors and some of the door holders with it and some of these tiles. That's fine, we can move those aside. And let's see, we're going to take this guy out. Alright, so now that we got the insert out of the box, let's take a look. So here it holds some of the cards, some of the smaller miniature cards like the stun tokens and all those other cards. And as we go through, it has a lot of the damage tokens. So here's 3 damage, it holds those, and then we have the 1 damage tokens, and then we have a whole bunch of other tokens, right? I believe these are the frag tokens. So what's neat is it has a front token holder, and it also has a back token holder. So here's the back. So let's take a look at the back first now that I'm showing it. It holds a lot of these. So it holds a lot of the guns. That's what most of those are. And the dice actually go in the back. And some objective tokens like these, right? All fit nice and neat. And if we look back at the front, it holds some of the demon portals over here, and then some of the teleporter tokens over here, right? I originally printed this in 2 parts because my print bed is not big enough. So I can show you on the back right here. Can you see? I'm hoping you could see this little lip right here. So this is where I cut it, and where the file is cut in half, and I printed this side, and then I printed this side. And then I just super glued it together. Overall, this is a great insert. I really like it. All right, so we're back, and that's going to wrap up our quick look view at the Doom board game insert. Kit Ravidson, you did a fantastic job. This fits in the box so nicely, and it holds all the cards so neatly and organized. I'm just amazed. This is a great piece. You just plop it on the table and grab whatever you need. This is fantastic. It's going to make setup so much easier. And there's one small gripe about it, and it's not even that big of a deal. For some reason, there's extra components that just don't fit. So in other words, like, let's pretend there's 20 frag tokens. Only 19 of them fit. And that's very similar for every other token. That's okay. I don't care, because I'm going to put them in a bag and just not worry about them, because I probably won't need to use all of them anyways. And with that, that's pretty much all I have to say about this. This is fantastic. You should definitely print this if you have a 3D printer. This is really awesome. If you guys want to find out more about Board Game Essentials, go to youtube.com/BoardGameEssentials. And with that, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. See ya.
Hey everybody, Even Steven here. Today we're looking at game moments for Ticket to Ride, in which what do players feel during this game? All of those you're going to see right now. When you draw tickets at the beginning of the game, and they all line up perfectly and you are set up ready to go. Or when you draw tickets at the beginning of the game, and you know you have no chance to complete all of them because they are all over the board and you're going to be spending all game just trying to get those. When someone decides to lay a measly train on the board and you realize it's exactly where you need to go and you are blocked. Or when you draw 2 cards off the top and both of them are perfect wilds. You draw 2 off the top. And it's exactly what you didn't want because you already have it. When you finally have enough cards to play that 6-card route for 15 points. When you get those perfect 2 cards that you really need. Or when you decide to draw tickets off the top and you realize you've already completed one of the routes with the current terrain you have. Or when you finally decide to take tickets in the next player's turn and they block the route you just needed. Or when you realize you don't have enough trains to complete your route. Or when you realize you have the perfect amount of trains and you play all 45. When you play all 45 trains in a row, so you are guaranteed longest train. When you draw tickets at the end and you realize you completed one without playing a single train. When you just needed one more turn to complete all of your routes and the player before you ends it. Okay everybody, those are my gaming moments for Ticket to Ride. Some good and some bad that provide a lot of entertainment for this game. Let me know in the comments below, do you have any other gaming moments that you feel or feelings during this game? We'll see you next time.
Hey everyone, welcome to 2018, Happy New Year. Welcome to the Starting Tile, the series which shows you different gateway games you may not have considered to bring your friends and family into the hobby. While I'm at work lately, all I am hearing is people coughing and sneezing, groaning. Basically, for whatever reason, 2018 has just basically made everyone sick. So when thinking of a gateway game, what better one can I pick than Viral? Viral from Dice Tower Essentials. This was new last year and I barely really knew a lot about it before it came out. Bought it and it went to number 10 on my top 10 of 2017 as a result. And no, that's not a bias just because I'm part of the Dice Tower network. Believe me, I have to say this about Sheriff, I have to say this about Alitama, I have to say this all the time. It is not a bias. This is genuinely a sweet, beautiful looking game. The premise is very straightforward. You are all viruses infecting this poor sap's body. Relax, they survive at the end. And the idea is that it's an area control game where you are trying to gain control of the different organs. So the brain, the lungs, the heart, the kidneys, that kind of thing. And each of you will play cards simultaneously twice in a round, which allow you to either move your viruses around, multiply, suck up other people's viruses, like absorb them, attack other viruses, you know, all sorts of little things like that. And you start off with a basic set of cards, but as the game progresses, you will draft new cards from a deck which is, you know, full of unique cards. They're specialists in certain ways, and they also grant victory points. As well as this, there is a simple cleanup phase where if too many viruses are in one location, they kind of duke it out and you get victory points. An event will happen during each round which will stipulate whether some organ is worth more points or viruses get killed off or whatever. And apart from that, it's a straight up area control game. Get the most in a particular organ, get points, and go up a research track, which you gotta be careful about. Because I always like to joke that House MD and his gang, if you ever watched that series, it's brilliant and Who Laurie. But I joke that his gang is outside the human body actually trying to cure you. And if you get too good at the game, i.e. your research track goes up too high, eventually they find a way to kind of snuff you out and they wipe you out of the system. So you have to start again from scratch. Aside from that though, there's some very good thematic elements. I mean, the organs are connected in a similar way to how they would be in the human body. The idea that the doctors eventually work out how to cure you is really thematic. And I also like how when too many viruses are in one system, the immune system of the poor sap fights back and kicks out certain viruses in there. There's some great little thematic touches like that, but on top of that, it's just great fun, great interaction, you know, very simple. I mean, the turn sequence is literally laid out down the side of the board, really easy for people to see, and it works so well. Other than that, it just looks gorgeous. I mean, the artwork is stunning. Everything that this game has to offer is just beautiful, colourful, it looks the business, and it's growing on me the more I play it. I think I gave it a solid 8 when I reviewed it. It's 10 on my top 10 of 2017, which is not bad. I mean, to go on my top 10 is a big deal. But I'm liking it more and more the more I play it. It's just warming up to me, and I think this will stand true in my list of gateway games to teach, particularly if I know anybody who's into the nursing world, NHS, that kind of thing, or just likes a straight up area control smackdown game with a cutesy theme to go with it. So if you are feeling a little bit sick this January, then maybe pull out Viral and just put a nice smile on it. Okay, so that's it for me from another Throat Punch Lunch episode. Hope you've had a good new year. Welcome to 2018, and I'll see you on the next Starting Tile. Just remember, it doesn't matter how sick you get, this is still only a game, so just play and have fun. Take care, guys.
So that just about wraps up another Throat Punch Lunch. I want to thank you guys for joining us again, and I also want to thank every single one of my contributors that are sending in segments. I thank you so much for the work that you're putting in. It is certainly appreciated, at the very least, by me. But I think there's a few other people out there that are enjoying the content you're putting out too. So thank you so much, contributors. And audience, thank you for coming back and taking a gander at these things. We are going to be back in just a couple of weeks, so we will hope to see you then. That's where the flip side is. Take care until then. Thanks for watching.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.